For the first time in the 138-year history, Indiana has won a national championship in the great sport of football. Words I never thought I would say. Your college football national champions, the Indiana Hoosiers. Unbelievable. And to top it all off, they are the first team to go 16-0 in college football since Yale in 1894. Yes, that was a very long time ago, and if you remember that season, kudos to you. I want to know your secret for living as long as you have. But in all seriousness, though, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. I'm Dylan Hoders. This is the Dylan Hoders Show. And for those who may not know, we cover college football. We're going to get covering NFL football for the 3 games that are left. And then we get NASCAR, Formula One. We also cover that as well. And we might dabble into some true crime. I don't know. But anyway, back to the game. Back to football, college, of the college kind. So, Indiana, undefeated, national champions, first team in 100 and... I'm going to do this math because I'm just that interested. Let's see. 2026 minus 1894. 132 years. 132 years. A team has gone 16-0. And it is the losingest team in the history of college football. Nobody in college football has more losses than the Indiana Hoosiers. Now, there's a pretty solid chance here that Northwestern will overtake them over in the next year. But there's a lot of interesting things going on in Evanston, so who knows. But more importantly, back to business. Indiana. Everybody is already going on about, are they the best team in college football history? I'm going to say no. I still give that distinction to the 2020 Alabama team. With everything that they have, from Mac Jones to Devontae Smith, I believe, was Jalen Waddle on that team? There is so much on that team that it's insane. John Mechie was on that team. And then the usual stout defense. Like, that is the greatest. That, in my opinion, is the best team in college football. I would put the 2023 Michigan Wolverines at second. And I'm talking about modern college football, not the... you go all time, then it gets real hairy because of the way the games were played back then. But nonetheless, and I don't know if I can put Indiana anywhere towards that top, just because those other teams were so much better. And that's no disrespect to this Indiana team. This is a great team, but as far as the greatest teams of all time, I don't think so. They're good at everything. They're exceptional at quarterback. But that's what it takes to win a national champion. You can make that case for pretty much every national championship team. They just took an extra game, or in some cases, or in some years, an extra 3 games to get to the national championship, because we are in this new era of college football. Which leads me to my next point. I'm already seeing a bunch of people online. They are going on about how who's the next Kurt Singeti, who's the next Indiana, who's the next team to go out there and just shock the world. And let me tell you, nobody is going to do anywhere near what Kurt Singeti has done to Indiana. there wasn't even ashes to build upon at Indiana. There was nothing. Absolutely nothing. No history to look back on. Nowhere to say, hey, this team did it, we can do it. None of that. None of that was there. It's always been there for Miami. It's always been there for Ohio State. It's always been there for Michigan, USC, Indiana. There's no history of excellence in football for anybody at Indiana to look back upon. You look back at their school history, the wins. 1967 and 1945 was their highest win total before Kurt Singetti. 9 wins, and that was with John Point. It wasn't even Lee Corso. I thought it was Lee Corso. Oh my goodness. And then 1945. The year World War II ended, where they went 9-0-1. Those were your best seasons at Indiana. 9 wins. 0 10-win seasons up until Kurt Singetti in 2024. Nobody has done the kind of job that Kurt Singetti has done in such a quick time. Now, there's programs where you can turn it around. You can try to turn it around, and it takes years upon years upon years. But, I mean, we're looking here. Look at all the losses. Losing seasons. The year before Kurt Singetti got there, 3-9. 1-10, 2-10, 2-10, 0-11, 1-11. You just keep going and going and going, and we're at 29, and we're not even at the winning seasons. We're nowhere near the winning seasons yet. There's your first non-losing season, 1986, number 48. We're still scrolling. We got a winning season, but it's 8-5. That was 2019. 6-5. Now you got some winning seasons here, but it's kind of messed up because of the years. But still, you get the drift. A lot more losing seasons than winning seasons. So you can sit there and search for the next Kurt Singetti, but Kurt Singetti is a unicorn. You're never, ever going to find a Kurt Singetti again. So to sit there and say, oh, this might be the next one, this might be the next Indiana, this one, no. Nobody. You even look at the coaching hires. Nobody going into a job has had the kind of bare cupboard that Kurt Singhetti's coming into. USF, big winning season. Auburn, history of winning championships. They've won a championship in my lifetime. Florida, they've won a couple championships in my lifetime. And then Oklahoma State, they've won a couple Big 12 championships. Like, they have history of success. Whether it be winning national championships, winning conference championships. Whereas Indiana, they haven't. They haven't. I think before this, it was... See if it shows any sort of... Nothing. Oh, here we go. Oh, jeez. So that would have been a share. Oh, that. Okay, yeah, that was Kurt Singetti. That would have been at least a share. Nope. Nope. I think they have. Oh, they have 3 conference championships in their in school history. 2 of them before December last year. So, yeah, there's no history to go off of success in Indiana. And, yeah, what Kirsten Getty has done will not be replicated, will not be, it's not something that you're going to find. Because it's never going to happen again. Because there isn't any school out there that has the kind of miserable history that Indiana does. Purdue, close. Northwestern, close. Honestly, Purdue might be the closest. They're in-state rival. But, I mean, still, it's just absolutely incredible the job that he's done. And like I said, it will not be duplicated. So, so now it breaks down to how, and I've also seen a bunch of people say, oh, this is the most consequential national championship in their lifetime. And yes and no. Every championship is consequential, especially when you're dawning a new era of college football like we are, with the NIL, with the transfer portal, with this wild, wild west that we are currently dealing with. And people are going to see that success. They're going to look at it and try to duplicate it. Now, the process of it is absolutely duplicatable. Because what Indiana did was all their transfers that came in, they were the right people. The right people, a lot of starts under their belt, a lot of experience. May not be big-time experience, may not be the Power 5 road game, the meaningful road game SEC in November, but they have experience in games. The average age of this Indiana team was like 24 years old. And to put that into perspective, the average age of the Green Bay Packers is 25. You have grown men on Indiana. Now, I don't know how many underclassmen there were with Miami. We'll see if it shows. It doesn't show their class, but I mean, Indiana, they are a veteran, experienced team. And you look at the NFL, the best players, the best quarterbacks, they have about 20 starts under their belt in college before making that move to pro. And with that, you have Indiana, very experienced, been there, they've done it, and they were able to rise to the occasion. And you look back at the last 2 national championships in this playoff format that we have. All of them, 20+ starts as a starter. They transfer to a bigger or they transfer to a different school. Carson Beck was really the only one that didn't transfer to a bigger school. It was more of a lateral move, but they have 20+ starts under their belt. They go into a new team. Indiana, Fernando Mendoza was at Cal, was the starter for a couple years, went to Indiana. Miami, Carson Beck was a starter at Georgia for a couple years, and now at Miami. Last year, Will Howard, starting quarterback for Kansas State for a couple years, went to Ohio State. Riley Leonard, starter at Duke, went to Notre Dame. And J.J. McCarthy is the last quarterback to to win a national championship with a team that he signed the original letter of intent with his senior year in high school. J.J. McCarthy's the last one. And the way that it's going to be that way. Because college football, what we're going to see is about 80% of college football is turning into a farm system for that top 20%. It's going to be, you're going to have players that are, for an example, they're going to go to Central Michigan. Because they're not quite good enough to get to Michigan or Michigan State, but they're still good. They're still good to be in Division I. So they're going to go to Central Michigan. They're going to develop. They're going to grow. And then when the time comes, their junior, their senior year, or their third, fourth year, then they're going to transfer to Michigan. Just for an example. And then they're going to have their big moment and then go off to the NFL. You're going to see a lot more of that. And a lot of the G5 schools are using this as a recruiting tool. I saw one coach was talking about how, you come to us, we'll get you trained, we will get you developed, and your junior or senior year, you'll be getting that bag from Oregon. And you'll go off and play there. And you'll do us proud. And that's what this has become. And that's where coaching trees, I think, are going to be a bit more important than what we realize. Because we'll use Ryan Day and Brian Hartline for an example. How much of a gift is it to have someone as good as Brian Hartline in the heart of the SEC, in Florida, USF, where, and the USF and Ohio State obviously are not recruiting the same guys, but Brian Hartline, he's gonna have his thumb on the pulse in Florida, and he's gonna know every single player that is going to be Ohio State eligible, essentially. And he's going to be able, he may get a call from Ryan Day, hey, how's XYZ, or how's this player? Oh yeah, they're good in practice, they work hard, they do all the little things right, yada yada yada. Okay, we want them. Sure, coach. Take them. And you're going to see that kind of farm system. And the best pipelines are people that you worked with. And Brian Hartline being one of the greatest recruiters, one of the greatest scouts in college football, that's a hell of a weapon to have. And it's not in your building and not on your payroll. So essentially, USF is going to be turned into Ohio State South, because all the players that get really good and get quote unquote Ohio State ready, as I put it, yeah, they'll go up north for a year or two and go try to win a national championship if they're good enough. So those pipelines and those connections are going to be a bigger role than ever before. It's no longer just about building the connections with the high school coaches. It is now about building those connections with those G5 coaches, with the lower Power 4 coaches. Who's good? Who's not? Who can we take? Who's going to fit our system? And you can say, oh, that's tampering. Yeah, everybody's tampering. So, whatever. It is what it is. And you build that connection, you build those pipelines, And it's going to be even easier to duplicate what Indiana has done. What Indiana has done is doable by every single program in the country that has that I don't want to say that has the cash, because not everybody does, but I mean it is doable. You get the veteran guys who's got starts under their belt, has experience, and you bring them onto the big stage. That's essentially what that is. Excuse me, my nose is running like a mother. But so that is the recipe that Indiana used: age, experience, growth, development, and not all under their roof. And they were able to mesh all the personalities together to become 16-0 and national champions. That is a winning recipe. And you will see teams try to duplicate that this offseason, next offseason, and so on and so forth, until somebody finds a better way to do things. And luckily, I'm not the super genius that has to come up with that, but I don't know a better way to do that. And other than sign an exclusivity contract and then take it to court with the NCAA, because they will raise hell. A lot of people will raise hell. And of course, since the national championship just ended earlier this week, it's the way too early top 25 for the 2026 season. Now, I'm just gonna go through. I'm gonna give my honest opinions on the teams and what I all think of what they're doing, where they're going, and whatnot. So, Virginia, I did not know they got Bo Pribula from Missouri, Eli Holstein from Pitt. Bo Pribula is a sneaky good pickup, and the road to the college football playoff is a lot easier in the ACC than it is at Missouri. So much easier. I would expect Virginia to be right there, once again, battling for an ACC championship. Illinois. Luke Altmaier, he's gone. They're replacing him with Caton Hauser from East Carolina. And then I trust Brett Bielema. He's a very good coach. He knows what he's doing. He knows how he wants to run his program. Rough nose, powerhouse. We're going to smash you in the mouth. Let's see if you can answer. So I'm not concerned about Illinois. Washington at 23, I think they're destined for great things. Now, what was kind of funny, and I don't know if funny is the right word for it, but I kind of chuckled at it. Damon Williams Jr., he was going to enter the portal after signing a big NIL deal with Washington. Washington came back and said, "We'll sue the crap out of you. You signed a deal." And Damon was like, "You know what? You know what? That I don't like that Bayou heat. It's hot. It's muggy in Louisiana. You know, I like Washington a whole lot more all of a sudden." Yeah, the threat of lawsuit kind of gets you to level place real quickly. Nonetheless, he is a sleeper Heisman candidate for next year. Jed Fish, tremendous coach. Washington, historically a very tough place to play, and I do believe they get Oregon at home this time around. So we'll see what happens. I don't know for sure, but anyway, South Carolina, Shane Beamer. His seat is the hottest in the SEC. I would say it's the hottest in all of college football, but Mike Norvell sits alone. So it is going to be. We could see Shane Beamer fired before the end of next season if it starts out rough. If it starts out rough, Shane Beamer is going to be gone. And this cycle is the crazy carousel is going to be winding right back up. So, and it's all going to depend on Lenora Sellers and his development. He's got to be able to throw the ball a lot better than what he has, be able to win the games from the pocket. You can't always win games with your legs, especially in a conference like the SEC. It's just not going to happen. Houston, Connor Wagman's back, so good for them. I don't have much on Houston. I got a strict I got a strict 3-team limit per state that I care about. Virginia Tech. The James Franklin hire is maybe the best of the offseason, potentially behind Kyle Whittingham to Michigan. This is if you want the Singeti comparison, this is the closest you're going to get. Obviously, it's not going to be anywhere near Kurt Singeti, but this is going to be your closest. Virginia Tech, once great, now dead. They're getting revived. Ethan Grunkmeyer, he's coming back. Luke Reynolds from Penn State, he is he went down to Blacksburg, and a lot of other transfers and a lot of other commits that were with Penn State now with Va Tech. Louisville, Lincoln Kienholz, the backup for Ohio State, is going to more than likely be the starter down in Louisville. And Jeff Brom, he is a great, great coach. And Kienholz, he is... I wouldn't be surprised if Kienholz is in the Heisman discussion. Now, I'm not making my dark horse prediction yet, but with what Jeff Brom's capable of and what Kienholz, I think, is capable of, oh boy, that is going to be that is one hell of a marriage there with Brom and Kienholz. Penn State, this is an over. I don't mean for it to sound mean, but way overrated. Penn State's class got absolutely decimated. This was a veteran team that they had last year that just absolutely fell apart. And Matt Campbell, he's bringing a bunch of Iowa State guys, but that isn't going to be enough to be able to compete in the Big Ten. It's going to take Matt Campbell at least one full cycle to get caught back up. So, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens, but I think Penn State, they're going to be taking a step back next year. SMU, Kevin Jennings, he is back. They got the running back from Cal, Kendrick Raphael. And they're going to have a new OC, but I have full faith in Rhett Lashley. So, SMU, I would expect they are going to be in the running for the ACC again. And then my dark horse, as of right now, for the national championship, is the University of Michigan. They added quite a bit from the Mormon State. Not just Kyle Whittingham, but they got Jason Beck. They got Jay on the offense. Jay Hill calling the defense. And it is going to be one heck of a team. Bryce Underwood, he's back, and I can guarantee you he's pumped. He's actually going to be able to develop in this offseason. He's not going to have a bunch of people way over their head like he's had to deal with last year, and for the first time since Harbaugh left, they have a competent adult in the room. So it is it is such a huge win for Michigan to bring in Whittingham. They are so much better now than they were when Sharon Moore was the head coach. And to be honest, Michigan was going to be in that very same position 1 year from now, because with Sharon Moore, it would have gone off the rails. So, and then BYU, they're in trouble. They don't really have a schedule that's going to expose them too much, but in college football, your records and your stats will lie to you. You are not as good as what you think you are. It was a great story. It was a great story last year. Freshman quarterback Bear Brockmeyer had a tremendous season. It was really cool having the number 47 as a quarterback, but it's just not going to happen twice. It just not. BYU is going to struggle. It's going to. You're not going to be 11-1 in the regular season. The only real team that they faced, they got blown out twice. It's not going to go well. USC at 14. I think I don't know what I don't know what to think here. They do have Jaden Maivia back. I think they're losing both receivers, and the defense is still very yo-yo-ish. They're so much better at home than they are on the road. They did have some big wins with the game against Michigan and against Iowa. I think both those games were at home, but they had devastating losses against Notre Dame, where C.J. Carr played his worst game of the season, and USC still wasn't able to beat them. And you got absolutely throttled by Oregon. So it's one of those. Lincoln Riley, that seat's got to be getting hot. As we found out, nobody is safe, regardless of the buyout. Now, number 13, Oklahoma. I still absolutely love this team. I know I was let down tremendously last year, but Mateer got hurt. He's got a full off season to make his comeback and to get healthy, learn the playbook a little bit more, add some wrinkles, and really start embracing that offense. And if Oklahoma can get him a running game, look out. It will be on. And that's the biggest thing Oklahoma's got to do. Find a way to be able to run the football. They had one of the worst rushing games a year ago. They were living off the big plays. Yeah, they rattled off one 80-yard run, got 100 yards rushing, but that one rush, you take that away, and the average is horrific. So it's gotta be better. It's gotta be better. And then Alabama at number 12. You want to talk about trouble? Oh my God, they are screwed with a capital F. I'm using that from now on. They are screwed with a capital F. They are in so much trouble. Ty Simpson, he's off to the NFL. The rushing game, putrid. The defense, yikes. The Alabama fans, the Crimson Tide faithful, are going to have to readjust their expectations year in and year out, because Alabama does not have the money to be able to keep up with the Michigans, with the Ohio States, the Notre Dames, the Texas, the Georgia, the Texas A&M. They can't do it. Nick Saban knows that. That's why he left. And you can tell he's got plenty of energy left in the tank. but he knew he would not win another national championship at Alabama. So he rode off into the sunset a year early as opposed to a year late. Unlike his good friend Bill Belichick, who should have rode off into the sunset 6 years ago. And he still technically hasn't. But nonetheless, Alabama's in trouble. They are in big, big trouble. Especially with, let's see, what is their schedule? So, they got 3 winnable games off the cuff, 5 winnable games. So they will go into the game against Georgia undefeated, I would expect. Unless South Carolina or Mississippi State or Florida State shocks the world. Or Kentucky. One of those teams shocked the world. And I'm not even going to give East Carolina the time of day. But unless one of those teams shocks the world, they're going to be going into Georgia 5-0. And then that could be your first loss. You don't have Ty Simpson to bail you out. The defense has been regressing every year. The running game has been non-existent last year. So, there's your first loss. At Tennessee, second loss. A&M, there's your loss. Off week at LSU. It is against Lane Kiffin, and Kiffin does shrink in big games. So, who knows? At Vanderbilt, we'll see what happens. Chattanooga. Are you kidding me? Playing Chattanooga in late November. What the hell? And then Auburn with Alex Golesh. I've been riding his, you know what. So we're looking at potentially 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We could be looking at 6-6. And if Mike Norvell just comes out with his hair on fire, could be 5-7. And that's a missed bowl game. Oh boy. When they fall hard. Anyway, moving on. We'll talk about LSU here in a few minutes, but Ole Miss. And this is with the expectation that Trinidad Chambliss gets a 6th year of eligibility after suing the NCAA. And that is a fair assessment because the NCAA has been absolutely horrific in court. They have a horrible record in court. So, I would imagine Trinidad Chambliss will be the quarterback. And they, in my opinion, upgraded at head coach with Pete Golding. As I said, defensive coaches, they win they win the championships. They know how to win championships. And once again, that was proven right with Kurt Singeti over Mario Cristobal. Now, we'll see what they do with the... we'll see how the offense is without Lane Kiffin or Charlie Weiss. We'll see, but who knows? I think Ole Miss is going to be just fine. And we're going to see Ole Miss right back in the college football playoff. They could even see them in the SEC championship game. So, we'll see what happens. I am absolutely interested to see what happens. Because I think they're going to have a better record than LSU. But we'll get to that in a minute. We'll get to that in a few minutes. And then Miami, they're bringing in Darian Mensah. That is going to court with Duke, I believe. So we'll see how all that plays out. But Miami still got Malachi Toney. He is a phenomenal wide receiver. He's going to spend the offseason working on protecting the ball. He did have a case of the fumbles, but he will improve. He will improve. He does give me that vibe of constantly improving. And that defense, there's going to be some rebuilding on that defense. Both those ends are going in the first round. So we'll see if Miami can reload there. Because that was the true power of that Miami team. Was that front seven and then the ball hawk of the back four. Yeah, that math. So, and then Notre Dame, I would fully expect them to be in the college football playoff, especially if they add that caveat of being in the top 12, which I think is absolutely ridiculous. But actually, you know what? I'm gonna go on that rant here. I'm gonna do that rant. How in the world does Notre Dame get a special carve out of, oh, if they're in the top 12, then they get an automatic bid? What? That opens the door for so much BS. Because their schedule is only getting easier as the years go on. USC is no longer going to be on that schedule. They're not on that schedule this next year. Their toughies are Wisconsin, Michigan State, Miami, and SMU. So, and we'll see how quick Pat Fitzgerald gets that ship turned around in East Lansing. Oh, and they got at BYU. So, all their tough ones, except for Michigan State, well, except for BYU, is at home. What a joke of a schedule. What a joke. What an absolute joke. And it's going to be inflated, too, because BYU is not that good either. And they get SMU at home. Like, what a absolute joke. But CJ Carr, he is a tremendous young quarterback. He gets a full season to learn, progress, and come back better next year. We'll see if they got that same production out of the run game. He did have the best running back in college football, and I think it was Jeremiah Love. I'm second guessing myself on that. Not sure why, but I am. I'm gonna double check here. I think it was, yeah, Jeremiah Love. We'll see if we get that same production or identical production out of the next back that comes in, whether it be from one guy or from multiple guys. But we'll see. If they can get that same production, I would expect Notre Dame to be 11-1 at the absolute worst. And we'll see what's going on with Miami and Darian Mensah situation. Then Texas A&M at number 8. They got absolutely exposed as being overrated. They dang near got blanked at home against Miami. Albeit Miami being a great team, they're not. Texas A&M should never be held to 3 points at home. Should never happen ever. But it did with Marcel Reed, Le'Veon Moss. Encarnacion, I think. But yeah, should never happen. Absolutely should never happen. But oh gosh, a lot of things are escaping my head right now. Why is Mike Elko? Elko? is a tremendous coach. I don't know why his name escaped me. Gosh, I am way too tired for this. Nonetheless, Mike Elko is a tremendous coach. They're going to continue to improve. They're going to continue to get better. So I would expect A&M to be sniffing around the college football playoff once again. And then Texas Tech, they reload Sorsby. He's coming in from Cincinnati. I would expect Texas Tech to continue their domination over the Big 12. And that's exactly what they're going to be doing, is dominating the Big 12. Because A&M, they are nationally good. They are not just Big 12 good, like BYU. Like, BYU is Big 12 good. Texas Tech is nationally good. And then LSU at number 6. Oh my God. Okay. So, this is an absolute mess. They did get Sam Leavitt, so they do have an adult in the room now. They have an adult in the room. Granted, it's a college quarterback, but I guess one adult's better than none. You have LSU, who is an absolute mess, just fired a very winning coach who, excuse me. Oh, gosh. Who, made an SEC championship appearance not that long ago, just a few years ago. And had a Heisman Trophy winner a couple years ago in that same season. And came up short to the eventual national champions in the Georgia Bulldogs. And, yeah, it was, and LSU fired him mid-season. And then you have Lane Kiffin, who is just a walking mess for reasons that are very obvious. So, you have a messy person going into a messy place. You're going to get a mess. No. Oh, no. Oh, boy. Hold on, my camera went out. Hold on. Hey, we're back again. Okay. Love when the camera just randomly goes out. And that might be a new theme here. When does the camera go out? Obviously, when you do a drum roll. But nonetheless, you get a mess. Lane Kiffin and LSU, I think it's going to be messy. I had that identical feeling like it wasn't going to work out between Russell Wilson and Sean Payton. And obviously the Broncos sided with Sean Payton, and now they are in the AFC Championship game. And Russell Wilson is sitting at home watching. But nonetheless, I got the same feeling like it's just not going to fit. It's not going to work. And we're going to be in the same situation 3 years from now where LSU is looking for a head coach. This has disaster written all over it. Speaking of disasters written all over it, the Georgia Bulldogs. This has a potential to be an absolute, utter disaster. Yes, Gunnar Stockton is back. You know who is also back? Mike Bobo, the offensive coordinator, who has held this team down. The lack of creativity on offense, the lack of a running game that has been prevalent, the lack of a power running game, the bonehead decision-making on offense. It's set to be... It could be a very serious mess. There's a couple guys in the receiving core that may be able to step up and replace Zachariah Branch, but I wouldn't hold my breath. The defense of Georgia, they got torched as well several times throughout the year. Let's see. Let's take a look here. They got, albeit most of them were in victory, but they got torched quite a bit. They got torched against Ole Miss. They got torched against Tennessee. They got torched again against against Ole Miss again. Now, they did have a stretch of playing good against Texas, Charlotte, Georgia Tech, and Alabama. But in that same breath, the offenses didn't play well either on that side, on the other side. Same with and same when they played against Alabama. The defense got torched in that game too. They just didn't get lit up for a bunch of points. And then this has the potential of being an absolute disaster. At least in Bobo's first stint, the defense was good and it was there, and you had room to mess up. The more the NIL goes on, the thinner the defenses are, and the less room for error you have on offense. And for Mike Bobo to be successful, you need a lot of room for error, and it's just going to be too much for Georgia to keep up with. So I'm seeing I'm seeing disaster incoming as well for Georgia, just not quite on as a spectacular level as LSU. Now, Ohio State. Julian Sain is back. Jeremiah Smith is back. No Sonny Styles, no Arvell Reese, no Caleb Downs. But Matt Patricia, more importantly, he is back though. The question is going to be for Ohio State. Does Julian Sain continue to progress? Will the new offensive coordinator, which I'm not quite sure who it is, I haven't looked that deeply into it yet, but will that new offensive coordinator be more willing in big situations, throw the ball downfield? Will that new offensive coordinator establish a presence of dominance and want to establish a running game against everyone? Because it's been a very long time since Ohio State has had a devastating run game that can suck you dry. Ohio State hasn't had it in a very, very long time. And it is getting concerning. So that's going to be the biggest thing for Ohio State. Can they establish a run game against equal opponents? It's one thing to get the rushing game going against a Purdue, against a Northwestern. It's one thing to do that. It's a whole other thing to do it against a Miami, to do it against a Indiana, to do it against Oregon, and so on and so forth. Can Ohio State establish a running game? And then, Indiana. They got Josh Hoover from TCU. He's going to replace Fernando Mendoza next year. Nick Marsh, the great wide receiver from Michigan State. This transfer class, Indiana's reloading. They're not rebuilding. They are reloading. Josh Hoover has a couple years under his belt. Nick Marsh is a phenomenal wide receiver for Sparty. It's gonna be. There's a shot for a repeat here. Definitely a shot, and with the amount of turnover with college football nowadays, it is so much easier to keep people inspired and to keep people motivated. Because Josh Hoover, he might be in the Indiana red and white, but he's never experienced a national championship. Nick Marsh, he's never experienced a national championship. Kurt Singeti, he's never happy, so why not? Why not try to win it again? See if we can get him to smile once. Maybe he'll smile on the back-to-back. But in all seriousness, Indiana, they're reloading. It's just going to be, can Indiana survive the first couple of weeks until they start meshing? Then Texas. Oh boy. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. This is, I think Texas is going to be very good. We saw Arch Manning progress and improve as the season went on, with his best game coming against Texas A&M. He had a very, very good game against Michigan and a very good defense. So we are seeing that improvement, and maybe it was just 1 year too early on the Arch Manning hype. So if the Texas defense can have a full 12-game slate where they don't force Arch Manning's hand, then we might have something here. Now, it usually takes about 15 starts to really get everything under your belt in college football. Arch Manning, I think he's at 15. He had 13 this season, 2 last season. So we should see improvement there. Got a couple running backs coming in. Got a wide receiver from Auburn. And Will Muschamp is going to be commanding that defense. Will Muschamp, maybe not the best head coach. He's a damn good defensive coordinator, though. That is undeniable. So, we'll see what happens, but the eyes are shining in Texas. And then they have at number 1 the Oregon Ducks. Dante Moore is returning. He has decided he does not want to play for the Jets. And I don't blame him. I don't want to play for the Jets either. They could offer me $10 million to play quarterback. I would say, I'd still say yeah. $10 million, $10 million. As long as at least $2 million is guaranteed, then yeah, okay. $1.9 million? No. Shoot. Anyway, so Dante Moore is back, and they're losing a couple key pieces all around, but Oregon reloads. They're good in the portal. They're good in recruiting. They are likely going to be the favorites in the Big Ten title game, I would imagine. But Oregon is going to be in very, very good shape. And not just for next season, but for years to come with Dylan Raiola, and I would expect he's taking a red shirt. So we'll see what all happens. We got a long way to go. We probably got one more college football show after this when the Big Ten decides to come out with their schedule. I might do something on that, but I don't know. But we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. But all right. Until next time, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you don't miss anything, and we'll see you all in the next one.